This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady News.
Welcome to Mock Show 570. I'm Kendall Trammell. By now we know that Todd Gurley won't be playing in Jacksonville this Saturday. While Georgia has appealed the NCAA's decision, Gurley's penalties still stand, including his 40-hour community service obligation. Reporter Morgan Weeks took a look at how often the NCAA hands out community service punishments. Now Morgan, from what you told me, Gurley actually got off easy.
Kendall, a lot of people think his consequences were too harsh, but it actually appears he got off easy. In the past, the NCAA has sentenced athletes to 80 hours of community service. Todd Gurley got half of that. UGA running back Todd Gurley must complete 40 hours of community service and donate money to charity to be allowed back on the football field. Gurley remains suspended for receiving $3,000 from memorabilia dealers. Community service isn't a consequence that the NCAA delivers often, but it has been in their reinstatement guidelines since 2000. Just last season, Florida basketball player Chris Walker was suspended 12 games for taking impermissible benefits. He had to pay back $270 and serve 80 hours of community service. Before this season, community service was used more as an alternative to a suspension. But on August 1, 2014, the NCAA updated their reinstatement guidelines to allow them to sentence athletes to suspension and community service. According to the NCAA's numbers, Gurley should actually have to complete 80 hours of service. UGA's cooperation with the investigation reduced Gurley's punishment by half. UGA is appealing the decision, and the NCAA will review the case within the week.
We'll just keep practicing, keep focusing on Florida, and then just kind of wait and see.
As of now, UGA fans can expect to see Todd Gurley back on the field on November 15th when Georgia plays Auburn.
Thanks, Morgan. Since Gurley sat out for both the Mizzou and Arkansas games, he only has 2 games left to serve for his 4-game suspension. While the NCAA committee reviewing Georgia's appeal can either reduce or remove Gurley's punishment, they cannot increase them. Both the Bulldogs and the Gators will look right at home in Jacksonville this weekend. For the first time since 1970, both teams will be wearing their home jerseys. The designated home team alternates year to year in this rivalry. And as this year's home team, Georgia has agreed to let Florida wear blue. The rivalry is one of the few that remains at a neutral site and has been played in Jacksonville since 1933. UGA students getting ready to head down to St. Simon's Island for the annual Georgia-Florida celebration may need to double-check the party's location. Glenn County officials are moving Georgia's largest beach cocktail party a little further north and a little closer to the Coast Guard area for 2 reasons. First reason, the height of the tide waves. Last year, on the Friday before the game, there was a low tide of half of a foot around 1:30 p.m. This year, experts are predicting a high tide starting at 4.5 feet at noon and reaching around 7.5 feet at 3 p.m. Second reason, trash. Every year, the party on St. Simon's Beach averages about 20,000 pounds of trash. Officials say they're worried about all the trash, like beer cans and cigarette stubs, floating into the high tides and polluting the water. Moving the party, officials say, is the best way to keep students safe and St. Simon's waters clean. Coming up next, find out who might be restricted from voting in the upcoming election.